So I think we have to kind of just break down, number one, what the announcement was, because there's been a ton of headlines about it. What's it going to cover, and what does it mean specifically for real estate investors, and why am I so pumped about it? Maybe because I think that the average small real estate investor with 1 or 2 or 3 doors, this is a game changer for them. That's what I think.
Well, I think it's a game changer for housing in general, because it's really setting a brand new precedent and opening up the opportunity to create the housing that we seem to so desperately need, given immigration. But we'll talk about that later. And I think it maybe even sets a precedent for, let's say, a Vancouver or a Lower Mainland, where we too here on the wet coast have that same housing challenge. Not enough.
Yeah, 100%. So let's go through kind of the overview of what the announcement was. So first and foremost, what this means is that any person with an R1 lot or a zoning or any residential real estate with R1, meaning it's a single family residence, can now build up to 3 units. They can have a triplex, they can have 2 units with a garden home. That's what this legislation was aimed at. And this is a game changer, Patrick, because as I've been critically saying since the beginning, the problem with all these lofty goals the government put out is it gets implemented at the local level, at the municipal level. And this actually makes a municipal impact. And the reason for that is because this legislation will allow us investors to bypass any zoning amendments required and bypass any bylaw amendments that are required. And that's a game changer, because every single time I got to do a bylaw amendment or a zoning amendment, we're talking about somewhere between $5,000, $10,000 to $15,000, sometimes more. I'm in a project right now where I've invested 50 grand into this stuff. It's a big deal. And this will make it easy for us to actually put up to 3 units on a single, an R1 piece of real estate, which is awesome.
You know, and so that is great, and I think it's an awesome initiative. The challenge, I always remain a little bit skeptical, just because whenever we have a government initiative, you know, the bureaucracy can all of a sudden start, you know, chugging or cogging the wheels, if you will. And that would be my only skepticism around it. I'm not being cynical, I'm being skeptical. And that's only to say that as long as the bureaucracy doesn't get in the way of it, I think it's a great initiative. And if it, and you're in the trenches, you know, so you're dealing with it, you'll know really quickly just how effective it is.
Well, I have a building permit that's going to be going through shortly for one of these. So we're going to find out how quick this is going to take into effect. What I will say, Patrick, about your skepticism or cynicism or whatever it was, one of those 2 things, one of the isms. What I would say though, Patrick, is and the reason I'm enthused about this, and listen, I'm not much more positive than you are when it comes to government initiatives, but I will say this: I have seen the effects and the good things that have come out of the secondary suite laws that are around, the legislation that was created in 2010, 2012, 2014 around secondary suites, and how much that has helped real estate investors like me and like the REIN community, and also how much that's helped the rental market. This is that to the next level, and it's a game changer for that reason. So I've seen how well it's gone into play. I've also seen how the municipalities, albeit a little slower than I would have liked, they've actually fallen into place. Every single municipality I invest in has fallen into place. They cannot go against the Ontario government in this way, and it's pushed through. I've seen it firsthand, so I have no reason to doubt, unless there's something I'm missing, which is quite possible. I have no reason to doubt that this won't get pushed through. I think it will, and it's going to be a game changer.
Well, let's see where it goes. And now all Ontario needs to do is get a landlord and tenant act that makes sense, and maybe.
Oh, dude, don't even. Why open up? Why open up that?
Pushing the buttons. Okay, here we go.
So there's a couple of things I want I just want to kind of describe what this means. So like I said, the first thing is that you can have 3 units on an R1 piece of property. That's huge. The second thing they're going to do is they're looking to scrap a bunch of development charges. Now, development charges in Ontario, just like I imagine in BC, Patrick, they're really, really high. I mean, I could easily spend $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 on development charges, which means you consider the planning barriers that are in my way and the cost for me to overcome those planning barriers plus the development charges. I'm often 70, 80, 90 grand into a project without ever doing anything. I don't have any shovel in the ground yet or nothing. So that's a big deal. If they're going to scrap some of these development charges and that's going to flow down to me, and that part I'm putting a question mark on. I don't know how that's quite going to flow to me yet as an investor. So I have to see. But if it does flow to me, again, that could be a huge positive for us. And the other thing this legislation does is it actually looks at and gives certain, all the major cities targets in terms of number of homes they have to abide by. I don't really care about that. I don't see that making a huge difference. But the fact that you could have 3 units on an R1 land, the fact that they may reduce or eliminate some of these development charges, those 2 things alone could have a huge impact. I see this as a big plus for us investors. And I'll just end on this, Patrick, and I know there's lots to debate and discuss here, but I'll tell you the biggest thing this is going to do. This will shut down NIMBYism around that part of real estate because they won't have a choice anymore. What I mean by that, and I'm sure there's probably there's probably people who watch this show that fall onto the category of NIMBYism, because I think to a certain extent, everybody falls into NIMBYism, which is, oh yeah, this is all great, but not in my backyard. Don't do that right beside me. I don't want that. But what this does for real estate investors is if somebody wants to build a garden home, and you get approval for that, and all the neighbors are upset about it, right now they can shut that project down. But in the future, they won't be able to. And that's what we need in order to push some of these projects through far enough where people get on board and you get the momentum behind you. I've seen it, dude. I'm dealing with this right now where I'm building garden home, and there's so much backlash from the neighbors. It's crazy. And they actually can't shut down the project because the province has agreed to it. So
it's perfect. Well, let's see how this all plays out. We're going to have more. We'll keep everybody updated on how this all plays out. And of course, within the REIN community, we're going to be getting some feedback for sure from the REIN community in terms of what they've got going on.